professional journey and survival for this long has been always having the willingness to learn the new. So I'm a little bit more passionate, a little bit more involved, a little more integrated with the advertising and the media fraternity. So hence here the topic of discussion, and that's what I'm talking about. I think, so hi everyone, I am Jain, and I began life in this profession of media and communication way back in 1989, when probably a lot of you would have not been born or would be still in school or early, life in college. So that's as old as I am. So I belong to the Darshan when you had predominantly black and white television sets and black and white movie telecasts. They were all repeats also, most of the times. And print was dominant, Times of India ruled, and people in Times of India also ruled, And Vivid Bharati was 25 stations. I don't know how many people recall it, probably you guys were not there. It was mass channel, and Yuvani used to be the channel of the youth at a very low frequency. One had to really tune it on to hear it. So at outdoor, along with Times of India, was a king of media. I don't know how many kind of people recall that. And it was irreplaceable in most of the advertising campaigns. And in fact, at that point in time, every space that you saw around the city of Delhi, every wall that you saw, was completely plastered with all kinds of billboards of all kinds of sizes. And it was very cluttered before it was obviously thankfully banned. And that was the maximum money of the advertiser campaign really went on the outdoor media at that point in time, and Times of India, of course. Okay, so as far as the media platforms and options were concerned, it was limited supply media. So I am talking media primarily because, I have spent 25 years of my life. I've been 30 years in media and communication. So 25 years of that actually was working for advertising and media agencies. So I will discuss and talk about that a little bit more. And the last 7 or 8 years of my life has been actually working at the other side of the table, which is at the broadcaster side. So I'm a little bit more passionate, a little bit more involved, a little more integrated with the advertising and the media fraternity. So hence here the topic of discussion, and that's what I'm talking about. So as far as media platforms and options were concerned, it was limited supply. You don't have too much of media that you have right now in a high demand market. So the negotiations, which is like the famous negotiations that procurement does for all of the marketers here, was really not there. Everything was on the rate card. So you had to kind of buy on the rate card. If you belong to a large agency, probably you got a better position or location or whatever on the advertising space. And the publishers and broadcasters, very inflexible. Now probably, we are more open. We're willing to take the risk along with you and give you what you really want. But any disruption required or asked was always a no. Whatever money probably you may offer to them, but they would never kind of accept that. That's the way the scenario really was. That was the environment that kind of one worked in. Media planning, which is what I really did at the agency end, was involved in extensive understanding of consumer behavior, demographically and psychographically. Market prioritization was really a very intensive exercise at our end. I don't probably see that happening much. I'm nobody to judge really there. And things like gain and loss analysis, intensive analysis of media consumption data, correlation, regression. In fact, that was something that all was done on paper. You did not have computers. Everything was done manually. It was a large piece of sheets of paper, very tedious work. But what really did for all of us was that fundamentally, conceptually, we were very strong. So we were very close to data that we worked with, and therefore the interpretation that we made of that was very interesting, very unique. I probably at this point I would like to say that it is no longer probably the way it used to be earlier. Sorry to say that again. So this was the era I belonged to, probably ancient for a lot of you here. Anyway, here I am standing before you in 2021 in the digital era, where around me the average age of people that I talk to business with is an average of 30-35 years, or probably even less. So that's the way it is. And I am here almost 30 years, still working, ever willing to learn the new, which is really my mantra, my life's mantra. And if I may say so, I'm still loving it. I just love my job. Every Monday morning when I kind of wake up, I like to kind of go to the office, and take newer challenges. So that's the way it is. So I chanced upon this profession of media and communication not by choice, it was by chance. I just happened to hear somebody say, I used to work in the research department of Hansa Research Group. While my passion when I was in college was to kind of do research, but over the time I realized that it was really not for me. And I just thankfully I heard somebody saying that Hinson Thompson's that point in time, which is JWT right now, was looking for a media trainee with a research background. So there I made the call and I got the job. I had to take a correlation regression test, by the way, and I cleared that, and if I got the job at HTA. So I joined them as a management trainee, and thankfully, I'm really fortunate to work for an organization which is almost an institution as far as advertising was concerned. Extremely prestigious, and I joined the media department, which still actually, if you really have to look at it, Group M, which is the way it's known as now, is the most prestigious media department, the way it was when I joined HTA in their media department. So it gave me the opportunity of working with some of the best minds and some fantastic brands and some very great clients. I learned a lot, so that's where my professional journey really began. Okay? And my passion for my work grew, and profession of advertising is all about looking at things and data with a little bit more heart. In fact, I remember once asking my boss saying that you have marketers. I had done my marketing degree, and I said marketers go to working on brands and marketing corporate companies, and we come to advertising agencies. How do we differentiate? So he said that probably you guys have to think, or maybe have the mindset think more from the heart, and you put your emotions in the data or the interpretations, the recommendations that you make to the client. So that way differentiates you from being in a marketing side to being on the advertising side. So that's what, and here I think I was pretty high on the emotional quotient, and therefore, the profession embraced me, and I completely embraced the profession, and I loved it, and I still love my job 30 years later. So what most excited me, about my work was that every day was a new day. If you work in an advertising agency, you have a new brief coming in every day. You have new clients to kind of work on. Every day you have a unique challenge to kind of overcome and solution to find. It's never a boring day. It's never monotonous. So one has to be very lucky to first have a job where you kind of love waking up every Monday morning without any effort, without any stress. So I guess my work kept me interested as I got to work on some of the most prominent brands at that too when they were getting launched in the country. Lloyd is here, he's been the Pepsi guy. So I was fortunate, Lloyd, to kind of work on Pepsi, the launch of Pepsi. I was there when Pepsi got launched in the country. My first independent media planning brand that I worked on was 7-Up, with Spiro Dino. He was like close to my heart. Mirinda, Harappu, I don't know how many people remember the mascot. Samsung, I was part of the Samsung launch in the country. Hyundai, McDonald's, Hajmola, Kurkure, Ruffle, Lay's, Whirlpool, Compaq, etc. To name some of few of my favorite brands that I kind of really worked on, and lucky to kind of work when they were getting launched, in India. And every brand campaign that I was a part of or led came with a unique story and episodes. I am not very good at writing, probably. I'm not too articulate that way, but I have experiences of actually every campaign, every brand that I worked on has some episode, anecdote, which is always there very vividly in my memory even now. So one probably I will kind of like, two I would like to share. I think it's interesting, probably, not so relevant for today's age, but yet it was it was a very challenging task given to us. And one that I would like to share would be for Pepsi. That point in time got launched as Leher Pepsi. And the first time in the country, we made this 180-second ad. I don't know how many people you remember who were there in the ad and what was yes, yeah, right choice, baby. The whole decision was taken from a media point of view. Lloyd is here. I hope I can share this. I'll share it. It was many years ago. It was that we made this ad, and this was decided that Chitrahar, that point in time on Doordarshan, used to be the highest viewed program. I don't know how many would know that. And you could, at a premium, buy the second spot, Chitrahar. So when people are watching it, the second spot on Chitrahar is highly cluttered, with full of ads. You will get a distinctive position. So we spent our money and we said we're going to slot it there. It's going to be the launch. 15th August was the launch. And there it was that I was a very junior trainee, and the task given to me was to take the VHS to the Doordarshan office and tell that lady Kamlesh, I still remember her name very well, saying, can you please slot my ad, and please don't tell anybody, it's very confidential. My bosses will kill me if they get to know a Pepsi ad is getting scheduled right now. And my bosses were kind of all the time in touch with me saying whether everything was done and not. And here we were on 15th of August, we kind of landed up at somebody's house and said, today we're going to watch our ad, 180-second Pepsi demo, and Juhi kind of dancing to, the magic, the song. And I have to say that ambush strategy, which probably marketers take, really began from there, the beverages war. And we all were watching it. The second spot, I still get the goosebumps, I have to say that. Second spot was the Pepsi ad, And then came the next break, and you had thumbs up, taste the thunder, 45-seconder. And then it was a very high pitch. So I guess it just took away a bit of a thunder of the 182nd of the Pepsi ad. So sorry to say that, but yeah. So one thing that I really vividly remember, and I cannot forget, I think those were the days when you were really passionate, very involved, very integrated, very associated with whatever that you kind of did. I have the time. Can I share one more case study? I have. Oh, I'm moving on then, okay. There's another one which is interesting, probably we can talk about it. The other one which you have a Nestle, but I will not talk about that because that was again interesting, but maybe later on, maybe in the offline, okay? So moving on, like I said, there are many stories like on McDonald's, on Samsung, on Compaq. How can you so if you have these kind of cases and brands to work on, how can you not be interested in your job? How can you not be inspired every day? So as there is very rarely a monotonous moment, opportunity to learn the new is something which always drives me, and the brands that I worked on, the organizations that I worked in really helped me to do that. So well, professional life becomes more exciting when you have competition at home in your husband, okay? So who's also from the same profession, works as a, so here this is an incident where we were working, both work for competitive agencies, and we were unfortunately had to work on two brands which were in the same category, fighting cut and throat for the market share and the mind state of the consumer. These are the Korean brands. So I was like Samsung and he was LG, you know. So you can imagine what was really happening in our household. And so this is another story to be told, and we survived it. Our marriage survived this whole thing. And I think Lloyd is there. He knows my husband very well. He would know that how passionate and how pushy he can be. So any which way. So we had to really fight it out with his bosses. People say that women, kind of, lose out in the corporate game. Not at all. I stayed on Samsung and he stepped down on LG. So therefore that was, so that was it. So again, like I said, what really drove me all this while, all these years, was to really adapt to this change. I am 30 years down my profession, and I am interacting, in a digital era. Life is transformed. Media is no longer the way it used to be, but the whole willingness to learn the new, I guess, kind of drives me still. And here I am, and I'm still, like I said, I'm loving my job. My second passion, not to say are my kids. They are like for many of us here. My son's 25 years. He's driving. He's pursuing his passion for music. He DJs part-time, and he's studying audio engineering and music production. My daughter is pursuing a passion for psychotherapy. She wants to work with adolescents, who have mental health problems. So, that's where, and what Sumit kind of said, that, I have been practicing Daisaku Keda's philosophy. I would have to say that Nichiren Daishonin's philosophy of Buddhism, and I think that really kind of keeps me energetic, keeps me alive, keeps me inspired. Every day inspires you to be a better human being and a better person. I think the whole life philosophy is to be happy. So I stay happy and make others around you happy. And that's how your life condition is, progressive and very positive. I would not mind saying my age, 56 years old. Still, feel as it was yesterday. It was just yesterday when it was 30 years ago. And all this is because my work is my passion, and that's what I wanted to share. Thank you.